evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I would like to thank first God and the elders and Kenny for this opportunity for me for the first time to talk about a very important subject in the life of every Christian. I'm referring to Philippians 4:11. I'm going to be talking about contentment. In Philippians 4:11, the Apostle Paul says, not that I speak in regard of need, for I have learned in whatever state I am to be content. Paul is just telling us here that we have to be content no matter what the situation we're in, because him in particular experienced just about every possible situation a human can endure and go through. He was stoned, like you all know, left for dead, incarcerated, judged, persecuted, and even going through all those things, he managed to learn how to be content in everything that he has to go through and endure. On my life years, I have come to the conclusion that our society lives in a constant state of discontentment. We are not happy with our leaders, our spouses, our kids, or the things that we have, like our house is not big enough, we don't have the latest TV, we have an older car, or a smartphone doesn't have the latest 4G technology. So what a person is to do in order to be content in such a restless world, and why can we seem to find contentment in what we're looking for? Many of us are trying to fill out that void, unfortunately, with things that cannot satisfy us. We look to fill out the void with possessions or money, but we only end up wanting more. We try to fill it with relationships or sex, or end up feeling even more empty and depressed than where we started. All these things we try to fill our lives with aren't necessarily bad things, but when they become our life's end goals and the reason for our being, we end up being discontent because those things were never meant to fulfill us in any way. We also have the example of one of the greatest characters in our Bible, which is Job. Everybody knows Job's story. You know, God gave Satan the opportunity to try him, and he was really tested for his faith. He lost everything: his kids, his wife, his possession, and he endures every test and stayed faithfully to the Lord. So Job never even imagined that he will get back not even double or triple what he ever had. So in the book of Job, chapter 36, verse 11, it says that if they obeyed and served him, they will spend the rest of their life in prosperity and their years in contentment. Also in Proverbs 19, verse 23, the fear of the Lord leads life. Then one rests content, untouched by trouble. Also from Proverbs, we got the chapter 30, verses 7 and 9. Two things I ask you, O Lord, do not refuse me before I die. Keep falsehood and life far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but just give me only my daily bread. Otherwise, I may have too much and disown you and say, who's the Lord? Or I may become poor and steal and dishonor the name of my God. Another reference is from Psalms chapter 34, verse 10. It says, those who seek the Lord lack no good things. So the good Lord takes care of us. Also from Romans chapter 8, verse 28, we have that, and we know that all things are good for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. On the same Romans, we got chapter 12, verse 2. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasant, and overall is perfect. Nothing can be better in this world than being changed by God's power. I'm a true believer just because of that. We also got 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 6 to 12. It says, but godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and we can take nothing out of it. And if we have food and clothing, we'll be content with that. People who want to get rich fall into temptation and trap, and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge man into his own ruin and destruction. For the love of money is the root of all evils. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. But you, men of God, flee from all this and pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, endurance, and gentleness. Fight the good fight of the faith. Take a hold on the eternal life to which you were called when you made your good confession in the presence of many witnesses. From the 2nd of Corinthians chapter 9, verse 8, we got, God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that in all things, at all times, having all you need, you will abound in every good work. God take care of his sons and make sure they're not missing anything when they follow his command and do his deeds. We got also from Hebrew chapter 13, verse 5. Keep your lives free from the love of money and being content with what you have. For God says, I will never leave you, nor I will forsake you. This is one of the biggest promises we are given in the Bible, and the one that we have to live and experience as a new Christian. From my personal experience, last year, 2017, is going to pass as the worst and yet best ever year of my life. I never even dreamed of being here telling you this. You must be wondering why. Well, I'm going to start with the bad things that happened to me last year. I'm going to start that I lost my job. I got divorced after 22 years of marriage. I lost my family. The only thing I got, and I hold dear, and I make my life nation to protect. I was betrayed, depressed, no family or friends around. I felt used, worthless, and broken. I was in the deepest, darkest place I ever been in my entire life, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. But then God turned around, and I started experiencing him and getting the good things that we as Christians should be experiencing. I found my new faith in Christ, our Lord. I got to experience him up close. I try to speak to some of my closest friends, some of them Christians, and some of them look at me like I was just taken out of a mental institution, or if I was doing some drugs, and I wasn't. He gave me a new purpose, a new meaning, a new set of eyes to look at the world differently. A new family with all my brothers here at Northern Boulevard Breakthrough Church. A new heart. I will never be the same person again. A new beginning. For the first time in my life, I feel like I don't have to live under anybody's pressure, just my own conviction and my own faith. Choose the Lord's. He gave me a new, better job. A new hope in a new relationship. God gave me the opportunity now from start from zero again. In a few words, I learned to be content no matter what, because I have experienced him up close, involved in everything I do and in everything that is around me. I have no doubt that he cared for us, and more important, that he loved us. Finally, the only place that we can really find true fulfillment and contentment is in our Lord Jesus Christ. True contentment isn't something that we can find in things, people, or circumstances. It only can be discovered in our own convictions, and the Bible teaches us to allow our convictions, not our circumstances, to govern us. And more important things, to govern our sense of contentment. Through biblical contentment is a conviction that Christ's power, purpose, and provision is showing us that is sufficient enough for every circumstance that we might find ourselves into. We have to learn how to walk through all kinds of adversity, believing and experiencing Christ's sufficiency. And we have to choose to rest on God's good promises despite whatever may be happening in our own lives. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening.